Hollywood is still reacting to last week's Oscar whiteout, where not a single actor of color received the nomination.
But two-time Oscar nominee Viola Davis is saying it's a numbers game, and the film industry is just as much to blame as the Academy.
Well, number one, I think there's more volume on TV. Used to be only 3 or 4 channels. Now we have Amazon, Hulu, HBO, Showtime. There's volume, so you have to fill up the volume. And how you fill up the volume is by writing more narratives. And the narratives have got to be varied. Everything can't be the same. And therefore, it gives people the opportunity to come in and show what they can do. It gives women over the age of 40, it gives journeyman actors, people who probably wouldn't have been given an opportunity in film, who would have been the 14th or 15th lead, now that the lead role on a TV show. And TV cares about its audience. TV wants to cater to the demographics of what is America. They're very concerned. They're more tapped into that. Those are the two things that TV does. And then we have the Shondas, you know. But I don't think film has that level of volume.
Meanwhile, Will Smith says that he'll join his wife in boycotting the show and will not attend the award ceremony.
Everybody is fantastic, and that's the complexity of this issue. Everyone is beautiful and deserving, and it's fantastic, but it feels like it's going the wrong direction.
We heard that Jada said that she is not going to be attending, nor will she be watching. Will you be attending the Oscars? No, my wife's not going. It would be awkward for me to show up with Charlize. You know, so no, you know, we've discussed it, and we're a part of this community, but at this current time, we're uncomfortable to stand there and say that this is okay.
All right, but it's more than just an African-American issue. The problem spans among all minorities in Hollywood, as Yohana Desta, an entertainment reporter for Mashable.com, explains in her most recent op-ed, and she joins us now. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for coming by. So you heard Viola Davis there saying that the diversity in the nominations could be lacking because films just lack diversity. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing so much diversity in television that simply isn't there in film. You know, when we look at the film industry right now, the majority of the films out there star white actors and are made by white directors, so she's right on the money when she says that.
But what about the fact of just boycotting this, though? Is that the right thing to do?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, when you see the way it's snowballing and the way that really mainstream, well-known people have decided, yeah, actually, I think this is a good idea. You know, you're hearing George Clooney and Mark Ruffalo talk about joining Jada Pinkett and Will Smith. So it's an interesting decision to make. The academies certainly aren't the only part of the film industry that needs to change, but it's an interesting symbolic move to make.
You know, I also read, though, that members of the Academy are somewhat taken aback because they're being blanketed and being called racist, basically, and some of them feel as though, you know what, hey, that's not me.
Yeah, you have heard some voters say that, and it's a harsh label, but when you look at the results, it's hard to see what they've done to sort of prove that wrong. And I mean, there are certainly voters who are not happy with the results as well, who have spoken out about that. So you can't, you know, label the entire membership, but
What about transparency, though? Release the numbers.
Well, there are some statistics out there that show basically what the membership is. Like, we know that it's...
No, I meant the numbers of votes.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I doubt they would ever do that.
Yeah.
That would,
But I'm just
can't
saying,
see. Yeah,
I'm
they
just
should,
throwing it
right?
out there.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
would be really
the Academy the membership is 93% white and 76% male.
Right.
I think there's been it's interesting to watch African American actors and actresses in Hollywood where they come down on this issue. There are some who say, look. For example, Idris Elba, who is from the UK, said that he would not have had the opportunities in the United Kingdom that he has in the United States. He was in Beasts of No Nations. He also didn't get a nomination. But he says that, you know, by doing something like this, you may be taking away and maybe painting those struggling African American actors and actresses who are sort of making their way up in the industry. And another portion of the community says, look, the Academy Awards is just a small portion of our craft, of the craft of acting and what we do. I'm not going to worry about it because it doesn't represent the entirety of my work.
Right, and that's a fair assessment too, because the majority of actors, they would love to receive an Oscar, but they do it because they love acting. Which is why the important thing is to look back at the film industry itself and how diversity fares there when you're actually looking at, which actors are getting opportunities. So it's not just about the Academy. So that's a fair assessment as well.
I mean, sorry, I was going to say, and it's not just African Americans. We're showing a graphic there of the Asians that have won Academy Awards. Only 3 there. Ben Kingsley,
right.
I mean, Hang Yor won for, I believe, The Killing Fields, which was in like 1981 or something, a long time ago, right? And it's the same for Latino actors and actresses. There have only been 5 in the entire history of the Academy Awards. So it's minorities in general.
Yeah, this problem is so widespread, and the conversation is dominated by talking about the black actors and black creators who have been excluded. But when you take out non-black people of color, what do you really have left? You don't have a lot of prominent Latino or Asian or Native American actors who could be considered for awards this year, and that's another big tragedy that we have to deal with.
The host of this show,
Chris Rock,
is black. Chris Rock. Some have asked maybe it would be a good idea if he said, you know what, I'm not going to host. What do you think about that?
I think that's an interesting request, but I think there couldn't be a better year for him to be host. I think he's going to come out swinging. I think he's going to say some really amazing things, and it's going to be an iconic moment for him, if he chooses to make it an iconic moment.
He's going to make some people uncomfortable.
The platform is huge.
Yeah. There are going to be millions of people watching, and we know Chris Rock. We know the last time he hosted, he said some really edgy things that people weren't happy with. So I think he's going to take the gauntlet and run with it this
I think
year.
they're probably sweating the Academy because they know that he will. Knowing Chris Rock, knowing his brand of comedy, I think that this is something he won't pass the opportunity up to make these points. And it'll be interesting to see going forward. I wonder sometimes with a film like Straight Outta Compton, who not only received critical acclaim, but it was a huge box office win, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if the Academy, because they're so old and they're so white, and they look at a film like that and they go, I remember NWA, I'm not voting for a movie that glorifies whatever it is that these guys are all about.
Right, and that's one of the issues too, is when you look at the demographic, can they relate to this movie? And we've heard voters say that, there was, I think, a piece in the Hollywood Reporter where a voter said, I know some of these older voters, they watch this movie and they can't relate to it, so they're not going to see it as worthy of voting for.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if more people tune in to this Oscars this year, just to see what
Chris Rock says.
I think he's worth watching.
All right, thank you so much. Yohana Desta.
Thank you for having me.